Hi, my name is Eric Kimberly. I'm the founder and CEO of Third Stage Consulting Group, an independent enterprise software and digital transformation company. And I'm here in the East Coast of the United States working with a client of ours, a mid-sized client in the entertainment industry. They're an organization with about 400 employees. They've got two major locations, and they recently just decided to move forward with a Microsoft Dynamics 365 implementation. And they had gone through an extensive evaluation process with us to help define which system or systems might be the right fits for them. They ultimately narrowed down to NetSuite, Microsoft D365. They end up choosing Dynamics 365, and now we're helping them through the process of getting ready for that implementation through the whole implementation readiness process. And there's a few good lessons that came out of, or that have come out of this discussion so far with this client. It's a client that we've known now, I've personally known for a couple of years, and have a good relationship with. And four lessons that come out of this session, or these series of discussions that we're having with them right now. The first is with D365 being a relatively flexible type of software, the question becomes, how are we going to phase this? They're an organization that isn't interested, like a lot of organizations aren't. They're not interested in doing a big bang approach where they're going to go live with all the functionality and all the business processes and the modules all at once. So the challenge now is figuring out how are we going to phase this and really ease into the software, get some quick wins, address some low-hanging fruit. And the way that this organization is choosing to do this is to look at point of sale as a starting point. They have a retail operation that supports the events they produce, and the point of sale is a key component of that. They also have project management and reporting, which are two other key components of their functions and of their operations. And those are the three areas that they want to start with. And as is the case with any organization, you're trading one risk for another in this sort of phasing, in that on one hand, we're avoiding the risk of a big bang approach, but on the other hand, now we have got a risk of kind of a interim solution that's partly implemented, and we've got to figure out how are we going to implement or integrate with the legacy environment. So those are just some of the things that we're working through at the moment with them, is figuring out how to phase that implementation and what the vision for the overall roadmap will look like for that D365 implementation. The second thing that we're looking at with them right now, and it's really a challenge for a lot of D365 customers at the moment, is just really trying to understand what the scope of the cloud version of D365 is versus what used to exist in the on-prem versions of Great Plains and Navision and Exapta. And even a lot of VARs and resellers don't fully understand what functionality is and isn't migrated over to the cloud version of D365, which has become Microsoft's kind of core platform for their enterprise software. So really just breaking apart the business processes and understanding what's in scope, what's not, what's been migrated over to the cloud, what hasn't been, and when will some of that missing functionality be migrated over to the cloud solution. That's been another challenge that a lot of D365 customers face at the moment, but it's certainly something that is doable and something to work through. The third thing we're working through at the moment is the culture. It's a pretty unique culture in that there's a great deal of alignment among employees in terms of passion for the organization and what the organization stands for, the values of the organization. And those types of environments generally are a strength for organizations, and most organizations would love to have that type of culture. But when you're dealing with a digital transformation and an ERP rollout, you run the risk of that there being a backlash of such a positive, favorable level of alignment, and that the bar has been set really high, so people have strong expectations for what the organization is going to do for them and how the implementation will ultimately look. So that's a key point for organizational change management, and ensuring that not only is organizational change management important on any digital transformation project or Microsoft D365 project, but especially in cultures like that where people are very satisfied with their jobs, they're excited about what the company stands for, what the company is doing, and ensuring that you've got that level of organizational change management to support that, and making sure that you're not disrupting that culture is a very important factor. And that's something that we're working with them now to figure out how can we create an organizational change strategy that allows them to maintain that culture, preserve that cultural strength, and at the same time undergo this transformation that they're about to go through, where they are going to make processes more efficient and automate the business and really move it to the next level in terms of operational efficiency. And then finally, one of the biggest strengths and weaknesses of Microsoft D365 is the product's flexibility. And I always like to see organizations that are nimble, maybe a little bit smaller, maybe trying to create a situation where they can adapt quickly to changing environments. I like seeing them with a product like D365 because it is so flexible. And that provides them a certain amount of flexibility, and it doesn't hold them back. And the last thing you want is for your ERP system to hold you back. And along with that, though, comes a downside or a dark side of that flexibility, and that's the product is so easy to configure and customize and change and do things to the software that it wasn't meant to do, that it becomes a question of why are we doing this and should we be doing this? And just because we can change the software doesn't mean we necessarily should. So the solution to mitigate that we're experiencing with this client and what we've experienced with other clients that are implementing flexible products like our Microsoft D365 is to ensure that they have very solid processes defined up front, and that we've defined what our business processes are going to look like. And really, we're really allowing the business processes to drive the business, the business processes to drive the technology rather than allowing the technology to drive the business. So that's one of the main tenets or takeaways from products that are flexible. It's true for any sort of ERP implementation, but especially for products like D365, where there's a certain amount of flexibility that can be a strength, but it's also something that can disrupt a project and cause you to get caught up in the all the different options that you have with a certain product. So those are some of the takeaways. I think these are lessons that can be applied to anyone that's implementing Microsoft D365 or any other sort of ERP or digital transformation. There are things to keep in mind. One thing that is unique about this situation, and one thing to keep in mind with your project, is every implementation looks different. Every company is different. Every organization has different processes and cultural components, metrics that they're trying to achieve. And you really have to look at defining what is our implementation strategy given that specific situation, and what are the risks that come along with who we are as an organization. And this is a few examples of ways that this company's unique culture and unique situation has created a unique opportunity and a unique set of challenges for them. So the important thing to ask yourself going into your digital transformation is who are we trying to become, and what are the risks, the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses associated with that, and how can we develop a digital strategy that helps preserve our strengths and helps us address our weaknesses given who we are. So I hope this was helpful. Hope you're all having a great week. We'll speak with you soon.